Hello, Internet. This is Chase Wassenaar, and welcome to the Rough Drafts Competes Journey of Wrestling League. It is the second week of the 11th month of our competition. It is the last set of weeklies of this season one, as we are calling it, and also the last set of weeklies before a gold pay-per-view. That is going to be our last chance to highlight the best parts of our wrestling companies and try to get some points on the board, which is important because we do not have many opportunities left. And Xander, my lovely co-host for the night, say hi to the nice people at home, Xander.
I am a meat popsicle.
Well, this meat popsicle is currently in the lead with 9.5 points overall. I'm right behind him at 8.5. Eduardo still has a chance to outpace me with 6.75 points at the moment. And Walter's the narrative champion. So if you look at the weekly so far, it is tight. We had our first set just in the last video. Definitely check that out if you haven't yet. It was 3 4.75s for myself, Eduardo, and Xander. All of us, I think, feeling like we got low-rolled in a couple places that would have been very helpful. But it means things could not be closer as we get forward. And Walter, of course, at 4.5 stars, still very much in it for this set of weeklies. And I think he's got quite the card ahead of us. So without further ado, shall we jump into SWA Primetime?
Let's do it.
But
before that, I need you to stream it.
Oh, that would be helpful for you if you could see what I was talking about, wouldn't it?
I do sure like to see the matches as they roll out, yes.
Fascinating. Well, we all learned something new today. But we move on to a head-to-head match, Trixie Albright and Talia Adler. This match is for a spot in the four-way title match for the Mildred S. Robinson Cup. Consequently, of course, qualified for that match by beating Mei Fukushima last week. Sure, there may have been some cheating involved, but as far as the stats are concerned, Consequencia got that win. But the second member is going to be determined by Trixie Albright, who of course wants to make up for a underwhelming performance in insert hometown here at End Times, versus Talia Adler, who has been fighting her way more and more in the women's singles division rather than just being a manager for a few of the talents like Strong Style and the Empress in this company. The question is, Xander, do you believe that Talia Adler has what it takes to get the win? Or does Trixie get some redemption tonight and secure her spot in the Mildred S. Robinson Cup?
I think just for the narrative, it's Trixie, but I don't want Trixie to, just so we're abundantly clear.
I see. What do you have against our star in the making here?
You know.
I mean, I guess she's a face and a 3-3, but I, for one, believe that anyone from insert hometown here deserves a little bit of love. And Walter agrees. This is indeed a Trixie Albright victory. It is only 3.5 stars. I imagine that just because they're both 3-star workers without a gimmick involved, though. In all reality, I think there's at least one stiff worker in here. Yeah, you would think perhaps a holy shit moment helping along the way. Unfortunately, not this time, but for Trixie Albright, it is a win all the same. She and Consequencia are both going to have the chance to challenge Maester Gomez. And we may find out who the fourth challenger for that match is by the end of the night. So we will have to move on for now. And it looks like we are cutting to Connor Crean just walking around backstage, maybe going to grab a snack from the vending machine, when Wesley Lee Morris blindsides the guy, just absolutely trucks him into the wall. This is not maybe the full beatdown that we've seen in some other situations. This is almost like a jock going through the hallways at a high school. And Wesley drops a "see you in 2 weeks, bitch," before walking away chuckling. Of course, Susie, the backstage interviewer for the SWA, goes up to Connor and asks if he's worried about facing Short 2 weeks from now in the match that will determine the Trios Championship between Short's representatives and Neon Lads. And Connor just says, Short and Ethan should be more worried about later tonight when Short has to take on the Neon Lads and a mystery partner who will challenge Ethan for the men's championship at Winter Zone. So obviously, I mean, the fans are all in on this segment. It's a 5-star segment. Wesley Lee Morris getting a nice moment for himself here, really living up to that bully namesake. But my question for you is, Xander, who do you think is the mystery challenger for Ethan Wilde's men's championship title?
Oh, I don't know, man. It could be anybody.
Well, I'm going to ask you to take a guess here. Just throw. Who do you think is the most likely, knowing what you know about the SWA and all of the shows you've seen to this point?
It's obviously the Empress.
You think the Empress is going for 2 titles in a row? Okay.
Yep. That's what's happening here.
That would be quite the twist. And I am only allowed to say positive things about the Empress given her dominance in the SWA to this point. But we will have to move on and find out later tonight because we move to a tag match between Baja Lucha and Pocket Rocket. And, you know, Pocket Rocket, they came to Walter and they're like, look, we're feeling underutilized. This is kind of constantly the way with Pocket Rocket, right? They get in a match. They do well. They've won more than they have lost. And they've won consistently in these kind of fight to become the contender matches. But then they're waiting for that next opportunity. And you need to take advantage of every shot you're given, right? Because the number 1 contender slot from Prodigious, we're going to see that tag match at Winter Zone. And so everyone else is kind of jockeying to see who gets to challenge the winner of that match. And of course, Baja Lucha, right? You'd be silly not to throw yourself into the ring. And I imagine Rey Sangre and Surfista Hermano Santos are just happy that they're not going up against Wesley Lee Morris again because, oh boy, that 1v2 was tough. But for now,
for sure.
Who do you think got the win here of these 2 tag teams?
Listen, I don't know who gets the win, but I'm rooting for Pocket Rocket, okay? I don't normally, but I am tonight.
Interesting. What has turned you around? Simply not a fan of Baja Lucha?
Just not really feeling the Baja tonight. You know, no Baja Blast.
Well, that is unfortunate for Baja Lucha because you are 100% correct. This is indeed a Pocket Rocket win, and it's a nice 4-star match. Starts a feud between those two. That should be very interesting moving forward. I did not note, by the way, that this backstage attack started a feud between the lads and Short that I think has been brewing in the back for a while now. So a solid match here and a nice win for Pocket Rocket. They moved to 8-5, and Baja Lucha clearly still have some work to do if they are going to join the upper ranks of what the SWA has to offer in its tag division. But we move on now. This is some camera footage that we have received earlier tonight. Angelina Cardinal apparently received a note from Psycho Sahana saying she would be here tonight, and if Angelina wanted a fight, she'd get one. So Angelina pulls into the parking lot backstage, and suddenly the feed cuts out, and we hear an explosion. The ground starts to shake, and the camera people run to the back to check out what has happened. And it looks like Angelina Cardinal's car has exploded. It's a burst out into flames, and no one knows where Angelina Cardinal is. We saw her pull in with her car. We had the feed cut out, and then there was the explosion, and we don't know if she is even okay right now. But you know who seems very pleased with herself? Psycho Sahana, who comes out to see the wreckage, but instead of looking shocked, just turns menacingly into the camera and smiles. So, how do you feel about this car destruction segment Walter's brought to the table tonight?
Listen, I'm always a big fan of car destructions, okay?
Yeah. It's a real fun thing to play around with. I hope Angelina Cardinal is okay. Obviously, you know, as someone who's had so many good matches over the years, I think she deserves to be treated better than Psycho has with all these rampant attacks and interruptions of matches. And now, I mean, this has really escalated quickly. And I hope that Angelina Cardinal's okay.
Yeah, man. If your car explodes, it can be dangerous. Turns out, explosion's not good for the health.
It's typically not great, but Psycho Sana obviously feeling differently. We will see if we get any news on that. We will, of course, update you if we learn anything about the health status of Angelina Cardinal as this show goes forward. But we now cut to this 4v4 match. Chort enters the ring first. Kind of building themselves up, playing to the crowd, soaking in the booze that they have cultivated over all this time. And then Neon Lads music hits, and the three of them, Connor Creedon, Ace Carter, and Vance Eagles, all make their way to the ring. And Ethan, he's looking for that fourth man, right? He's like, who's my challenger, Connor? Who dares to face me? And who else could come out but Craig Opley? Craig Opley almost on his way to the face of the company journey, but more importantly, the original men's championship winner. He held it for the first 2 months of the Stanford Wrestling Alliance, lost it in a dog collar match at New Beginnings, and has not gotten a chance to challenge Ethan again since losing a loser leaves town match at Schools Out. So Craig Opley is here, and it looks like Ethan Wilde is just pissed off, just does not believe that he should have to deal with Craig Opley once again. But here we stand. It's a 4v4 match. Neon Lads and Craig Opley versus Chort. Xander, who do you think gets the nod?
You know I'm rooting for my boys in Chort. They're short. They're short. Chort.
See, you didn't pick them last week, which I gave you a little bit of a hard time for. So I understand why this week you would course correct, which is why it's funny that you're wrong once again. It is indeed the Lads who win this one, as Craig Opley gets the pin on Dead Killa to secure a 4.25 star match victory here. This puts the Lads and Chort feud hot already, and understandably so. The talent that both of these factions have to play, undeniable. And we see our first holy shit moment of the night as Connor Creedon slaps the taste out of Dead Killa's mouth before they both started brawling. That's 30 creativity points for Walter, and a very strong result for the Lads. Well, we move on, and it looks like, what is that? Is that Drew King's music? Yes, Drew King is coming to the ring from backstage while Ethan is still staring down Craig Opley on the ramp, plotting his revenge. And Drew goes, you know, Ethan, Craig's not the only one calling in favors to the boss. I can promise you right now, it will be Ethan Wilde versus Craig Opley versus Drew King at this next pay-per-view.
Ooh,
in a 3-way
spicy
match. And Ethan Wilde, of course, he is bewildered. He went from last week doing a incredible villain speech straight into the camera in which he said he had no challengers, and now he has 2 genuine threats. He looks angry, he looks confused, and Drew King just looks a little smug and very satisfied with this turn of events. How do you feel about this 3-way men's championship match Walter has put together?
I do feel like it's a bit spicy.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've loved what he's been doing with Drew King. It feels like Jules Murphy is bringing out the best in him ever since that headhunting feud wrapped up. And I, for one, am very excited to see him in a title match here. It's a 4.75 star. We see Muhammad Fox now a level 3 producer, which is nice to see. And a little bit of a boost for the men's championship thanks to this demand title shot segment. But that's not all. We cut to backstage in which it appears AR-60 has interrupted this moment by beating the shit out of a weakened Killa's tag team. Look, we have seen this again, and it is going to lead to a lower score for this match, for this segment, I should say, as a result. But honestly, this feels right? These two teams hate each other. The Killers and AR60 have been battling back and forth for a while, both in and out of the ring, going back to the Eternum versus Chort feud, in which they each traded wins back and forth. So it's no surprise that these two teams still hate each other and are still looking for opportunities to take advantage of each other. But you have to wonder, AR60, the faces in this feud, coming out and beating up the Killers after the Killers just fought a match. I don't know about you, Xander, but that doesn't seem like babyface tactics to me.
Sure don't. Not looking very babyface oriented. Looking a bit. One might say spicy.
Yes. We might call that foreshadowing in the business, though. We will see exactly what Walter has in mind. I do feel like it's one of those things. It's been a while since AR60 and the Killers had an after-match attack. It's a little silly that you're only allowed to do that once, but what are you going to do? What we're going to do is move on right now to a match between Eddie Davis and Rocca. And you won't believe it, Xander, but it's Assassino who came backstage to Walter and actually talked to him for the first time that Walter has ever heard his voice, rather than just being the silent bodyguard for Christopher Devlin. And he goes to Walter and says, look, the kid needs a match. And Walter's bewildered. Like, what, you talk? But more importantly, like the kid, I don't think I would describe Devlin as a kid. I'm kind of surprised he wants to wrestle on a weekly. And Assassino's like, no, I'm talking about Eddie Davis. We both know that Eddie has a much higher ceiling than he's demonstrated so far in this company. And that loss a month ago to Rocca was a fluke. I'm just asking for a chance for him to prove it. And Walter's like, look, people don't typically come up to me and demand matches, especially for other people. But Assassino just kind of looks at him, gives him a stare, and says, there's a reason Devlin hired me. Don't make me show you what it is. Walter's like, oh, I mean, look, I think this is a great idea. And even, you know what? Let's make it a street fight match so that Eddie Davis can highlight his strengths properly. And Assassino just looks back at him and says, you're a smart man, boss, before walking away. And look, Rocca, he seems to just be a little bit confused about the whole thing. It's like, look, I thought we settled this last month, but I guess if y'all want to include me on the show tonight, I'm happy to be here, happy to get a paycheck, happy to do my part and maybe get another win on Eddie Davis like I did last month. So the question is, Xander, has Assassino given Eddie Davis the tools to break this 14-match loss streak? Or does Rocca get his second win? And once again,
like Eddie Davis, but the idea that Assassino is the one empowering him, given his own record, is inherently comical. So I'm gonna say Eddie Davis finally gets a win, but like it should really be Rocca here. IMO.
Hey, look, Assassino.
I feel like minus points for having Assassino behind you.
Out of the ring, absolutely the best bodyguard Devlin's ever had. I can't imagine he would still have this job if it wasn't for the skill set he brought to the table. Even if
Devlin clearly needs his bodyguard. Yes.
I mean, I don't know, man. I can only say that it's worked so well for Devlin so far, and tonight it's going to work well for Eddie Davis because it is going to be a victory for the Time Traveler Militia. He is getting his second win.
Good job, Eddie Davis. Congrats, man.
Well done, buddy. It's a 4-star match, a nice street fight victory. And we got a holy shit moment as Eddie Davis slaps the taste out of Rocca's mouth before they both started brawling. That's a nice 30 creativity points and an overness boost for Eddie Davis. I mean, obviously you'd prefer it on Rocca given he has ways to go before he is fully over with the fans, but it's a nice match in general. And something that I think will help both competitors in the long run. But congratulations, Eddie. You've certainly put in a lot of work over the last few months doing whatever Devlin asked of you. And I'm glad that you are not falling to 1-16 because that would be tough.
Yeah, congrats, man, on not being 1-16. Well played.
Well, look, we move on to a champion package for the Empress Kabuki. And this package focuses on one clear fact: no one in this roster has been able to beat her. They've come in a 3v1 challenge with Tsutsuno Funo Sentai. She has taken on multiple different high profile rivals, and every time they have all fallen before her. But she takes a moment in this package to say that she will graciously give them one more opportunity to prove themselves in a battle royale next week and determine who her next victim will be. And I love that phrasing from the Emperor. She's a really fun heel. And it is a 4.5-star package, so a very nice performance here for Walter. How do you feel about a battle royale qualifier for a match against the Empress?
Yeah, love it. Can't wait to see the Empress lose.
That is a bold statement given everything we have seen from the Empress. But, we will have to see. Perhaps in the Battle Royale, someone steps up and shows us something we haven't seen before. I would pick Angelina Cardinal perhaps to be that person, but as far as I know, we have no idea where she is or
I'm
how
waiting
she's
for
doing.
Brooklyn Cambriel to be the one to do it.
I have some really
And
bad news about that feud not going hot, my friend.
yeah,
Uh,
well, that's what I was gonna say. It's really Walter's fault for not doing a better job.
Oh, I'm not touching that with a 10.5-foot pole, but I am going to move on to our last match of the night, our main event between Aiko Haruka and Raven. This match is for the last spot in that four-way Mildred S. Robinson Cup championship match between Maester Gomez, Consequencia, and as of earlier tonight, Trixie Albright. And look, Aiko Haruka has been an upswing seems a little strong for someone who's 1-11, but she did just grab her first win recently. She's had a multi-woman match in which she was able to catch Maester Gomez and Consequencia slipping, and we have seen some momentum on that front, perhaps forcing Consequencia and Maester Gomez to a lesser extent to the back foot. But she's going up against Raven, and Raven, the glorified badass, the number one woman within the kingdom, and just an incredible wrestler in her own right, is not going to go down without a fight. Xander, who is earning that last spot in the Mildred S. Robinson Cup Championship?
It's gonna be Raven.
You believe in Raven? Why?
She's the glorified badass. She's a 4-4. She's on a losing streak. She's about to snap it right now and make big moves. It's gonna be her. Aiko Haruka's a nobody, and that's how we do.
Look, Aiko Haruka may have struggled early on this season, but I've been impressed
Nobody.
by her growth. She has clearly shown that
Random.
she has what it takes, and she does it tonight. And it's
Boo.
only a 3 3/4 star.
Fans
match.
agree with me. It's okay. Fans agree with me. It should have been Raven.
It's certainly not the score result that Walter was looking for, but I do believe with the story he has set up, Aiko Haruka is more interesting to
This
have.
is the best the narrative champion can do, really?
Wow. We got a card with a car explosion. We got a 3-way title match for the men's
Oh,
championship.
no. Don't get me wrong. I actually really liked this card up until that moment.
Wow. Well,
it's like, wow, what a great card. Imagine if you just left the last match off, everything would have been fantastic.
well, certainly given the role that it had, I'm sure Walter wishes he could switch the order of operations between this and the champion package. It is still 4.25 stars, which I think is a very solid performance, but certainly going to make it very
Could have been
tough.
solider.
Yes, I think it'll be tough for him to keep up with the rest of the people in this competition, all of whom, as we pointed out, had a 4.75 card last week. And we start this test to see which of our top 3 competitors is going to earn a little bit of an edge tonight with the Campeonato de Luchasaur. And look, we have seen time and time again Eduardo prove that you do not need to min-max this game to get great results. He has won 3 of the last 5 pay-per-views, and he has an advantage over the rest of us in which he has 2 more slots on all of these weeklies without having to pay any points to secure that. And we will see if he's able to make the most of it on tonight's episode of Destination. Are you ready, Xander?
Let me think. Am I ready? Am I ready for the CLDS? Or CDLS, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm ready. And let me tell you why, okay?
Why is that?
Very simple, straightforward fact. Eduardo sucks. I'm kidding. I'm ready. I'm sure CDLS is going to be good. And let me put it this way. If there's anyone's card I'm rooting for other than mine, it's this one. So you know what? Let's go CDLS all day, okay? I can't wait to see him run the same segments I'm running and maybe 1 or 2 extra ones. You're welcome for showing you the meta, Eduardo.
Well, we will see what he has in mind. I have a feeling that he's taken a little bit of lessons from both of us at the end of the day. But also,
who are you again?
I would be the person who's only 1 point behind you and has more overall points in this competition. But I'm also the one leading us into our first match of the night. It is a tag street fight match between Bittersweet and Dominion.
Okay.
Both of these tags are obviously on the same path to the top. They are trying to take down Phantom Troop, who now have officially held this belt, the Guardianes Duplicaro Femenino belt, longer than any other female tag team in the history of the Campeonato de Luchasaur. Now, Bittersweet have held the belt more times than any other female tag team with 3 different title reigns. But Dominion currently has the lead in this feud. They got a win on a street fight match on an episode of Destination back in September. So the question is, does Bittersweet use their experience and maybe some of the lessons that Lulu Cherry has learned in singles competition recently to get an edge, or does Dominion get the nod tonight with Ivy Chavez leading the way for this team?
I think it's going to be Bittersweet continuing to lose. I think that they've got some solo stuff going on right now, so it makes a little more sense for CC and Dominion to take this dub. I can still see it maybe be a Bittersweet, breaking their loss streak. But I think what they have going on, in their solos right now versus what Dominion offers in terms of their tag focus, even with CC still doing some stuff, is just better. So I'm going with Dominion.
See, it was so interesting because when you said Bittersweet to start, I thought that you were on the same page. But unfortunately, you could not be wrong. It is a Bittersweet win. Allison Cruzon needs some stuff to do in the tag picture. She has not had the same solos attention as Lulu Cherry. And I do think breaking a 5-loss streak for a team as good as Bittersweet has been is important. And also,
5-loss streak. Because Bittersweet.
Yeah, that was definitely intentional. I didn't misspeak at all.
Listen, I'm helping you. Okay, don't just turn into it. Own it. Okay, come on.
Famously a helper, Xander. Not a heel announcer at all.
Never been a heel in my life.
It's a 5.5-star match. A good psychology and blood bonus here.
Great match.
It's Lulu Cherry hitting CC Cruz with a lariat that knocks her head clean off. That's 30 creativity points, well earned, and what a great start to tonight's show here.
I love it. Good job, CDLS.
Now we move on into a smack talk segment. El Cuervo is the first one to the ring, and he starts bragging about his title and how he earned this through blood, sweat, and tears, fighting his way through the Nova Cup, and then proving it again at the last pay-per-view. And that his only real rival at this point, this is something his rival has never accomplished. Liam Draco has never gotten a title, and he never will. And Liam Draco, of course, comes out to the ring and says, look, I may not have a title to my name, but I do have a title. I am the king of battle royales in this company. Whenever a pay-per-view shows up, I do whatever it takes to get the win. And I promise you, I will not stop until that belt is in my hands. And Clever goes, look, I don't need to argue with you, Liam. The stats speak for itself. I am the highest ranked wrestler in this company. There's no one in this company with a better record than me, and I did it after battling my way back from an injury. I have proven myself time and time again, and I don't think you have what it takes. And Liam just says, look, I'm the king of the multi-man matches. I have proven that I can beat anyone in this company. And if you underestimate me, your hubris is going to be your downfall. And Liam leaves with the victory in this Smack Talk, a hot segment, and a nice 5 stars here for Eduardo. How do you feel about what we just saw, Xander?
Feeling good about it. All right. Liam doing big Liam things. And, I love seeing this card going well.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think El Cuervo's been a really fun wrestler to play with. I'm rooting for Liam Draco. I think he has the right energy and right attitude, and we've seen that work out well for people like Amber Manning in the Campeonato Cuyan Championship. So no reason he can't bring that same energy to the Nova Belt, but we will have to wait and find out for that one, because we cut to a tag street fight match between Omerta and the Corazones de Lucha. And look, both of these teams find themselves on the outside looking in when it comes to the Guardianes del Pagaro Masculino Championship. It is very likely that neither of these tags make it to the title match at Final Breath, no matter what they do. So the real question is, what are they going to do to jockey for that position to be the number one contender heading into season 2, heading into the new year? And look, they're both face tags, right? So they've got a good amount of respect for each other. But Corazones de Lucha are the only one of these two that's ever held the belt. And they won the first head-to-head match in a street fight in September. So they clearly are the favorites here, but Omerta at 3-7, they've got a lot to prove, but they have won their most recent match, and they have 2 incredible competitors in Sigmund Coolidge and Quincy McKenzie, both 4-4s, who would love to step up and prove themselves in this moment. Xander, who's getting the nod?
Yeah, if there is a nod going out, it's got to be to the one, the only Omerta.
Okay. You believe in Omerta.
I sure do.
And if I didn't have the notes in front of me, that would have been my pick too. But it is the Corazones de Lucha getting the win. And that's a 5.25 star match. This card is terrifying.
I love it.
I know we're only a quarter of the way through, but that's multiple matches over 5
Keep it up, Eduardo. Scare chase.
Man, it is one heck of a match. And, obviously for Corazones de Lucha, a huge victory here. They get a holy shit moment as Vincent Gabriel hits Sigmund Coolidge with a lariat that knocks his head off, getting 30 creativity points for the CDLS. But for Omerta, they are now officially the worst ranked team of all tag teams in the Campeonato de Luchasaur at 3-8. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board and make some changes to their style if they're going to achieve higher results moving forward. So hopefully this is a learning lesson for them. They can step up next time around. But for now, the Corazones de Lucha remind everyone why they should be considered top contenders for the Guardianes del Pagaro Masculino belt. But now we go to a segment I don't think either of us have done, Xander. This is a manager promo segment. El Arcangel de Fuego comes to the ring and talks about Brady's potential after his recent rise in the standings in the face of the company run that he has just started. And look, his 4-15 record may not be anything to write home about, but his feud against Daiwik Damerla has led to some stunning matches, including a 6-man street fight victory against top talents like Daiwik, Chakal Pro, and Adriano Cicelli at the last pay-per-view. And if you look at just the rankings, you miss the bigger picture Arcangel de Fuego pushes here. We have seen lower ranked wrestlers do great things in this company. The CDLS proves every week that anyone can step up and become a champion if they're willing to do what it takes to get there. And I promise that with my tutelage, not only is Brady Velasquez going to become a face of the company, but he is going to soar towards the top of the standings in the new year. Mark my words. And that's a 5-star segment from Eduardo. Turns out a 4-star manager really good at promos.
Who would have thunk?
Is this another one you're going to steal for yourself, Xander?
We'll have to see.
Who can say, I suppose, until the next weekly. But for now, we move on to a 1v1 match, a street fight between Ishikame and Max Campbell. And look, Ishikame, he is one of the few upper mid-carders left in the Campeonato de Luchasaur, which means he can be slept on a little bit. Yes, he has lost 8 matches in a row, but that is because he is always punching above his weight class and pushing himself with matches against only top-tier opponents like Jason Cortez or Max Campbell, who, let's not forget, was very recently the Campeonato Onto belt title holder until he dropped it to Gabriel Rivera at Dying Light. And yes, Max Campbell does have a 2-0 lead in this feud so far. He won a multi-man match on a weekly in August, and it burned it down in September. But these two have never been in the ring one-on-one. Why should Max Campbell have to challenge a guy like Ishikame one-on-one? He was a belt holder at the time. He didn't come to any weekly since August because it was his job to protect the Campeonato Onto belt. But with the belt gone, Max Campbell needs to prove himself once again. He needs to show everyone why he is the top contender to claim that belt back. And that means taking on a guy like Ishikame, who he should be able to get a victory against if you look at the popularity gap and record gap between these two wrestlers. Xander, does Max Campbell take care of business, or do we have an upset on our hands?
Ishikame getting the upset.
You believe in the upset. Why is that?
Because he needs a win.
Okay. You say he needs a win. You say he needs an upset. And you're goddamn right. That is a victory for Ishikame. It is a 4.5-star match. Max Campbell obviously losing a little bit of morale for that, but nothing he can't handle. It's a huge victory for Ishikame, who is now a main eventer, breaking that 800 popularity threshold. And it's just a nice match overall. How do you feel about the narrative Eduardo's building here?
Yeah, I love it. It's great narrative. And also sometimes you got an 0-8 guy who needs a dub and also gets to main event status.
It does work out pretty well on that regard. And I do believe Ishikame, if we come back for season 2, is going to be a force to be reckoned with. A 4-4 face like that will always find a place in any company that he winds up in. But we will have to wait for that for now, because we have quite the announcement on our hands. The House of Hardcore has come to the ring, and we expect, right, they're going to be addressing the fact that Gambler betrayed them last week. They were attacked by the Carnival of Carnage as Gambler switched sides, but no. The House of Hardcore are here to introduce their newest member, Isamo Masucci. You might be thinking, Isamo Masucci is joining a faction? Well, of course he is. After all, he just dropped the Campeonato Andino belt to his hated rival, Shichiro Ishihara, and he cannot stand the thought of letting that constant thorn in his side remain champion. As a result, especially after seeing Shichiro Ishihara join Rising Sun last week, Masucci has found his own faction to join, the House of Hardcore. And look, they don't have a formal leader at the moment. And yeah, they lost Gambler. But as far as Isamo is concerned, Gambler's a second-rate wrestler anyway. Who cares about a 3-star worker? The House of Hardcore is stronger without him. This is Poker of Pain. This is former Campeonato Andino champion Amatryadora Anderson. This is top contender Cameron Johnson. These are the training partners that Isamo Masucci plans to work with in order to reach his potential and take that belt back. What do you think, Xander?
Belt back, hardcore, all day, added members.
Yeah, I mean, look, it jumped a full reputation, almost 2 points of reputation from that segment alone. Turns out adding a face of the company like Isamu Masucci does wonders for the reputation of your faction. Um, I mean, congratulations, I guess, to the House of Hardcore. I like a lot of the wrestlers in here. I do not love the idea of the influence that the career killer Isamu Masucci might have over some of these wrestlers, but we will have to see how well they work together and what that means for the future. But for now, Eduardo can just enjoy another 5-star segment in this card, continuing to look incredibly fierce. But we move on. And Xander, earlier you were talking a little bit of shit towards the Campeonato de Luchasaur. You did back up eventually, but you started with some shots. And I was going to make a joke about the idea that Eduardo isn't here to defend himself. The next segment is a slander competitor segment from Cameron Johnson. And Cameron Johnson comes to the ring and says, "At first, when I was told to cut a promo for all you fantastic fans, I thought of starting with a joke. But then I remembered that Glory of Legends is enough of a joke. You guys, though, you fans deserve the very best, not whatever those mediocre, lying, cheating, pathetic little worms of human beings trying to pass as wrestlers offer in triumph. They think they know wrestling, that they know 1,000 moves and styles. Well, I know 1,004 ways of kicking their asses, and that's just me. But in all seriousness, I tried tuning in last night, and the most entertaining thing that happened was when I fell asleep. So thank you, fantastic fans, for loving yourselves and tuning into the best show in history, the one night only Destination." And you do truly love to see it.
What an adorable little segment from our third place competitor.
I loved it, honestly. I love these slander competitor segments, and
Yeah.
I'm very here for Cameron Johnson talking his shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who Cameron Johnson is, but I do love the slander competitor segments, and I think maybe Eduardo's going to have some good cards, and the best he can do is beat you, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, his promotion just wasn't very good this year. There's always next year, though.
Mm-hmm. See, this is when, if I was the heel announcer, I would be revealing that we have like bonus stars similar to Mario Party that you didn't know about this whole time.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'll think about it. For now,
I'll think about it. Let me implement a star count that didn't exist in the last one of the competition, just to make sure Xander doesn't win. That would actually make sense, though. I mean, you guys are all terrified of me, and with good reason. So that's fair.
Hey, they don't warn you. I guess they do ask you if you want bonus stars in Mario Party. In either case, we will move on for now.
I love that you had to discount your own idea. It's just like, they don't. Oh, wait, yes, they do. But if they didn't.
Look, again, I am the face announcer here. The heel would do that. I'm not the heel. I'm the good guy. I swear I'm not falling into corruption knowing how close I am to taking you down. I'm not going to do it. This is not foreshadowing at all. We move on.
I want to say, though, the irony of the slander competitor segment going well, 5 stars with the producer focus, and at the end of the day, the only thing it helps do is beat you. That I relish. I just enjoy. Really good job, Eduardo. You can talk shit about me week after week as long as you're the one that wins the set of weeklies and not Chase. So you know what? That's fine. Enjoy, buddy.
Man, I appreciate the energy you're throwing here. I will prove you wrong later tonight because I can keep pace. I look if he and
I can't wait
tie,
I can't wait to see your legendary promo segment.
Okay. He didn't do a legend. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to take this bait. I'm going to talk to you about a wonderful match, a street fight match between Lionel Looney and Razor Jackson. Because look, the last time we saw these two men feud, it was at the very beginning of the year. Lionel Looney was still an obnoxious heel who did his best to put down the extreme and aggressive Razor Jackson. The two battled to a 2-2 feud with Razor Jackson getting the final blow-off win in an unsanctioned match on an episode of Destination in March, with Razor also getting the win in a street fight at Deadlock, proving that he was the early king of unsanctioned and street fight matches. But Lionel Looney, he got wins in pole and table matches over that period of time. And a 2v2 feud, even if you win the blow-off, that's still clearly a sign these two wrestlers have not truly gotten the edge over each other yet. And look, Lionel Looney did turn face recently, but Razor Jackson is reluctant to believe it after everything he experienced earlier this year. And even if Lionel has grown up since then, Razor still needs to assert himself as the king of street fights once again after uncharacteristically dropping 2 recently, including a loss at Dying Light just 2 weeks ago. So the question becomes, does Razor Jackson get a win in this street fight match and reassert his dominance here, or does Lionel Looney come around and secure the victory?
Man, this is 2 wrestlers that I think really suck. And for it to be this deep into what is honestly a pretty good card is really just a disappointment from, the CDLS, especially after that smack talk that they just gave from that other random. But you've got Lionel Looney, who why his what I don't want to be on whatever level he's on, okay? Because it's very low. And then across from him you have Razor Jackson, which I will say early into the CDLS, I was like, oh man, this guy is good. This guy, he's got talent. He looks cool. The gimmick's fun. And then Eduardo just kind of made him the butt of several jokes in terms of his performances. So at the end of the day, if I have to choose between one of these two, I'm not going to. I'm going to hope that this is a double pin finish and that they both lose. You can look at it as both winning, but I'm going to hope they both lose.
Man, that is a fascinating take. I feel like you've liked both of these wrestlers at various parts of the year.
I have rarely rooted for either, and Razor Jackson, I have actively rooted against a long time now.
No, you have turned on Razor Jackson, but Lionel Looney, I think until he turned
he's had a couple moments. Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan. Especially now that he's a face. I'm over it.
Well, you're not on his level, and that's why he's getting a 5.25 star victory tonight. Another 5+ star match on the weekly. I'd like to point out that we are now 8 slots in, and his lowest match is a 4.5 that's getting dropped.
Yeah, no, this looks great. I love this.
This is working out very well for Eduardo.
For both of us.
You say that like I can't still tie you at the pay-per-view. Like, if you don't get a point here, you have not secured anything as far as what you're looking for. So,
but this gives me more hope that Eduardo will just win the next 2 things, and then I don't have to worry about anything.
Well, I would tell you about the dangers of hope and hubris, but I would rather move on to this segment here. Isamu Masucci in the ring again. And we saw earlier, he said he's going to do whatever it takes to become Campeonato Andino champion, joining the House of Hardcore. But that's not all. He has earned the services of El Arcangel de Fuego as his new manager. And El Arcangel says that Isamu reminds him of the same fire that he had when he was a competitor and the willingness to do whatever it takes to thrive, even when the rest of the world wants to make you something you're not, which I have to imagine is a callback to the fan reaction to him turning heel just a month ago. But Isamu turns to him and promises that Shichiro Ishihara will not know what hit him when the two battle for the Campeonato Andino title at Final Breath. How do you feel about Isamu Masucci's new manager?
Love it. Good for Isamu.
Yeah. It's good for Isamu, and in all reality, I'm just glad this gets El Arcangel de Fuego back over with the fans. The amount of penalty that Eduardo had to take that none of us had any idea was possible because of some weird interaction with Legends was very silly. And so he deserves a 4-4 manager. He deserves to level up Reveal Manager and get even more of a popularity boost. And I don't think he has any skill issues tonight. There are many things you could say about the Campeonato de Luchasaur, but
No,
skill
not
issue is
tonight.
not
I'm
one of them.
talking about before. I'm talking about before with the manager. It was a skill issue.
Well, we move on to some skilled wrestlers here. Caden Lee versus Jason Cortez. And look, Caden Lee lost his first headhunting feud against Jason Styles, right? That caused him to leave Rising Sun while he was still their leader and join the Carnival of Carnage. And he was clearly distraught for some time. He struggled mightily in the first task he was given, which was to headhunt Jason Cortez from La Sagrada Familia. He lost those first 3 episodes. But on a weekly episode of Destination in September, something finally snapped in Caden Lee. He seems to have found some force within himself to fight back and push forward despite being in a faction that he is not truly bought into yet, and won a street fight, getting himself on the board in this feud. You know, Jason Cortez obviously coming off of a Battle Royale win at Dying Light, but this is the first time they've wrestled one-on-one since Caden Lee got that win, and he's certainly looking forward to doing that again. But the question is, does Jason Cortez have what it takes to stop him? Or is
No,
Caden
Jason
Lee...
Cortez is not the Punisher tonight. He is the Punished, and Caden Lee coming up big with doing the Nana Nana Boo Boo to El Arcángel de Fuego.
You are 100% correct. This is a
I know.
5.5-star match. Holy shit. I just look at all these green stars every step of the way. I've never seen 3 matches with 2 different positive bonuses on a weekly. That might be a first for me in all my time playing this game. But it's a hot match, understandably so. It is a holy shit moment as Caden Lee spears Jason Cortez through the barricade, getting him 30 creativity points and a nice overness boost here. And, I mean, this card just keeps on rolling.
It sure does.
Well, you know, you noticed me not interrupting you earlier when you mentioned legendary endorsements, and it's because I remembered he does have one of those on this card. We saw Ryuji Sakota made into the Rising Sun faction leader last week. So El Tigre de Neon comes down to show him some love. He says, look, last week it was important for me to praise Kenji Ryota for stepping down honorably and allowing the next generation of leader to thrive. And Ryuji Sakota was hands down the pick, unanimously chosen by the faction to be the new leader of Rising Sun. Because look, regardless of his record, he is higher in the standings than people like Gabriel Rivera, the current Campeonato Antu champion. And this is not, I don't think El Tigre de Neon goes so far as to renew the former rivalry between La Sagrada Familia and Rising Sun, though I believe Eduardo could if he wanted to. But El Tigre de Neon does make it clear that he has big plans for Ryuji Sakota and that this man is well on the way to becoming a face of the company in his own right. That anyone who gets in his way should watch out because the School of the Crab stands strong. And that is another 5-star segment. At this point, I think Eduardo might drop a 5-star. I think that's actually guaranteed since he can't drop the main event. How do you feel about this legendary endorsement?
I love it. I love that Eduardo's putting up the numbers he is right now.
I mean, we are on the verge of seeing the best weekly card of all time.
Yes.
He just has to stick the landing, and I got to tell you, I think he will, because this is an I Quit match between Kelly Torres and Layla Abelos. And look, the pedigree of these two wrestlers speaks for themselves, right? Layla Abelos, the 2-time holder of the Campeonato Cuyan Championship, too pretty to lose, dominating her rivalry in the long run against Amber Manning. She did ultimately drop that belt, but 90% of the way, it was all Layla all the time. And Kelly Torres, meanwhile, has been the Campeonato Ryan champion 3 separate times. But neither of these women have held a championship belt since August. And given the quality on display, right? Two women who, at the end of this pay-per-view, at the end of Last Breath, will be faces of the company, barring something crazy happening. They are deeply unhappy at the fact that they have not had their chance to take back their titles. And they are hungry to prove that they deserve to be number one contenders again, especially now that the greatest championship had to be vacated due to Violetta's recent injury. You know, Callie can get in Layla's face, arguing Layla is a lower tier competitor who's only earned her high record by beating up on a lower tier of competition. But Layla can point to that losing record that Kelly has, right? She isn't even in the top 5 for female wrestlers in this company. And again, I'm too pretty to lose. So that's the question here. Does Layla have what it takes to secure a victory tonight, or does the Tower stand strong and get the W?
Kelly Torres.
Why is that? Why do you believe in the Tower?
Because fuck you, Layla Avalos. Duh.
Wow, you were in on Layla for a while.
Not today.
Not today.
Kelly Torres.
And you are right. It is a 4 3/4 star match for Eduardo. A shame that that's the thing that gets doubled. It is still a hot match. It gets that feud going.
I still think you might get a 5.25 tonight.
I still think he should as well, but we're going to see what the rounding here says. And it is 5
it's
stars.
just a 5-star.
Yeah, that is.
Yep.
I thought for sure he had it, but the fact that you cannot drop the main event.
The main event, and it's doubled. Yep.
Means he is only the best weekly card that we've ever seen. Because if you we've never seen a score higher than 5 stars. We have seen a couple 5 stars, but none of them looked as strong as this from start to finish.
No. So. This was the strongest weekly card we've ever seen. We can acknowledge it. And if he had stuck the landing, he'd be on the moon right now.
Absolutely, yeah. But I mean,
I'll still say well done. Honestly, a bit of a disappointment though, because I really wanted him to put you on notice with this. Back to trying to win again. So I guess I have to put in effort for the next week. You know, Eduardo, I could have just focused on the pay-per-view, and now you've kept this close enough to where there's value in me still working hard. So you know what? You slander me, and then you end like this. Really, Eduardo? Really? Okay. I could have just kicked back. I could have just. I would have said nice things about you. I would have talked you up for this magnificent card, and this is how you cap it off? I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed. This is what you get for killing Tough Eat.
Look, I refuse to be disappointed that Layla Avalos and Kelly Torres got to fight in the main event in a card like this. And yes, obviously it helps me that it's 5 stars because I've done a 5-star weekly before. I'd like to think I have a 5-star weekly in store, but at the end of the day, I just want to take that moment and really acknowledge that something special happened here tonight on Destination. I hope that he gets a ton of fans for that performance. And I cannot wait to see what he has in this last set of weeklies. I think the Campeonato de Lucha Shore is
before we both out-hype him. And before we both out-hype him with 5-star cards and he gets a third place on fans.
It's not impossible. It's not.
I'll cry. I will cry laughing. It will. Oh man.
Well, I know you're laughing right now, Xander, but it is your turn to show what we have in store tonight with Wednesday Night Triumph. What can fans expect on tonight's weekly?
Oh, on Wednesday Night Triumph, we're gonna have a good time. Gonna be some good matches. Once again, really just here to make sure you don't win at this point. And that's what the name of the game is. Okay, stay competitive. Push a little bit of narrative. I'm going to be honest with you. We're pushing some stuff for the gold pay-per-view. But really the next weekly is going to be the narrative hype building. This card, through and through, is meant to secure some solid stuff, push some wrestlers in the direction that we want. All right, get them to the levels of popularity, overness, and their feuds being the level of hype that we're looking for. Okay, and I did one thing tonight that is going to piss Walter off, and it makes me so happy knowing that that's what I've done. So let's just say that we're gonna put a lot of things to rest tonight. Really make sure that Walter starts off 6 feet under. Okay. When he wakes up, he's gonna be like, "Damn, it's cold in here," and it's like, "Yeah, you're in the morgue." Okay. It's gonna be very chilling. One might say dark, and cramped.
You're gonna send him a box of daisies that he needs to push into his
Mm-hmm.
apartment, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Got it.
Really, what we at Wednesday Night Triumph call this card is "fuck you, Walter."
Well, we will see if that is the strategy that gets you the points you're looking for. But
Mm-hmm.
we start with, oh, look, a manager promo. Looks like 2 people may have found that tonight. And it looks like a negative producer bonus did not matter.
Nope.
Tell us, what is Asahi King saying tonight?
Yeah, listen, Asahi King comes out and is applauding Maricela Reyes because Maricela wrestled the clean match that she did most recently. It wasn't a handicap beatdown, and Asahi King wants to call that out and kind of praise her whenever that opportunity. She wants Maricela to know and wants the crowd to know that listen, she supports heel wrestlers. She doesn't mind heel or face. Okay, but she wants good wrestling. She wants to support you when you are performing at the highest level, because at the end of the day, Asahi's goal is to put an empress on the throne.
See, I do understand that. I will say I'm a little bit worried about her long-term strategy here. Feels like if you indulge people who are willing to do things like those handicap beatdowns because they had one clean match, you might be encouraging them to continue that negative behavior, knowing they could always make up for it with a win. But look, I'm not Asahi King. I'm not the incredibly talented manager that she has proven herself to be. So what do I know? What I know
Yeah.
is it's
What do you know?
what I know is it's a 5-star match, 5-star segment, I should say. Again, producer negative did not matter at all, which tells me that perhaps this is indeed a hard cap no matter what we do with our segments. But it is a hot segment, gets a nice bit of overness for Asahi King and Maricela. And we move on to a legendary endorsement.
That's right. Hueso de Cabra coming out and saying, listen, you've seen me praise Brigantia. You've seen me praise members of For the People. You've seen me praise Bright Future recently. It's time I praise another member of Juge. And not one of the ones you're expecting. It's not either of the arrows. It's not even Kaiman. Tonight, I want to praise the underdog in this group of talented wrestlers. While I respect everyone in Juge, Yuji has demonstrated a grit, a tenacity, a true calling as someone that needs to perform, understands what being a good teammate is, understands what being a good faction mate is. I'm endorsing Yuji today, not because he's the one pushing the echelon of what faces in this company are doing, but because Yuji embodies the best of us in terms of the wrestlers that go unsung and still show up day after day. And I think that deserves some extra praise. So tonight, I'm raising Yuji's hand, and I want all of you to join me in applauding him and everything he's done for Juge and for faces in this company.
Well, that is a rousing speech. I mean, look, Hueso de Cabra has done these endorsements many a time before. He always does a great job, and it's a nice popularity push for Yuji Onishi. I will say, I don't seem to recall Yuji having that one great moment in the ring that earns the kind of respect we saw from Hueso de Cabra, but maybe
Oda's Revenge. He did actually,
for
with
Otis.
an Otis revenge match,
That's
elimination.
that's
He was the one that capped it off.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I forgot about his tag performance. I was thinking
Yep.
specifically about singles.
Yep.
My
Well, let's
apologies.
not talk about that. Okay.
Okay. As part
let's
of
keep it for
Oda's
Yuji's
Revenge
sake. Let's keep the
deserves
Otis
the love.
revenge.
Oda's Revenge deserves the endorsement. I think we can all agree on that. But we move on now. This is Krieger versus Dietrich Mullen in a street fight match. What brings these two to the ring tonight?
Listen, Krieger and Dietrich have been doing a bit of throwing down. Dietrich wants to prove himself against the best of the best and knows that Krieger is a top talent in Burn It All Down, standing in Dietrich's way as he tries to become the first ever Glory of Legends non-faction affiliated face of the company. And meanwhile, Krieger is doing everything he can to get himself to that echelon of fame that so many other members of Burn It All Down have recently been able to accomplish, while simultaneously working to keep this dude down.
Yeah, I mean, Krieger is definitely one of those guys where you have to go glass half full, glass half empty, right? If you want to believe in the upside of Krieger, you point to a 21-year-old 4-4 heel who has done a lot as a manager, right? With Jaya, Sho Fujino, Vince Rivera. All three of these guys have been able to depend on Krieger week in, week out, and he has had some faction matches in which he's done pretty well. You also have to point glass half empty. He's 2-12. He is the guy that when he's sent out to defend Burn It All Down has fallen short the most. And when you compare him to a guy like Dietrich Mullen, who has taken a lot of losses, this was a man who started with some losses, got a bunch of wins in a row, had a bit of a losing streak once he hit that new echelon. And the question is, has he reached a ceiling? Has he gone as far as he is capable of going without a faction to boost him forward? So I'm fascinated to hear who got the win tonight.
Well, tonight it's going to be Krieger taking the win.
In a 4-star match. It did make the feud go hot, so you've got some fun stuff to play around with there. And a holy shit moment as Krieger suplexes Dietrich Mullen from the apron through a table.
Plus 25, baby.
Yeah. It's a nice creativity point boost. It is one of those, you have 2 4-star wrestlers, you got a holy shit moment, a feud went hot, and they gave you 4 stars. I don't always understand this game.
Listen, it's fine. It's a street fight. This was the match that we assumed most would potentially be dropped. So as long as nothing goes crazy for the rest of the evening, the fact that it goes hot, the fact that the street fight gave us plus 25 to pay for some of the rest of this card, this is a big win in the Glory of Legends book.
That is very fair. Well, we'll see how Dietrich Mullen bounces back from that and what Krieger can do with the momentum. But we move on to a reveal manager promo. What are we seeing here?
Listen, Cabra has been doing his thing, right? And tonight he's coming out to officially begin managing Matt Robinson. He believes that Matt is on a trajectory up like no other, and that Brigantia are going to have some important matches in the near future here, and Hueso wants to stand side by side with them to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, Matt Robinson definitely on the rise. It was great to see him get highlighted a little bit last week. We are going to see, I believe, him wrestle in just a moment, but I just want to point out, you are 4 reveal manager segments away from that going gold. And while I'm not sure if there is anything higher than 5 stars, I feel like when we may be reaching it'll never be lower than 5 stars point a lot sooner than I would have liked. But let's get into that match. It is a casket match with at least the Teutoburg, I believe, is a new feud.
Yes.
Yes. Wolf Klein and Matt Robinson. What brings these two to the ring tonight?
Listen, Wolf Klein and Vinland Saga have been eyeing Frontline's belt. And everyone knows it because they're currently the ones holding that cash-in contract. All right? But tonight, Wolf Klein lying in wait into the ring and calls out Matt Robinson before he can step down from the Reveal Manager segment with Hueso de Cabra. As Matt turns to leave, Wolf is there and says, "Tonight, brother, we will go one-on-one. And soon enough, my brother and I will behead you and take that belt." And Matt Robinson says, "Wolf, first of all, good fucking luck. Second of all, you're no match for me in a one-on-one." And Wolf laughs. "You're no match for me in a one-on-one." And from the sideline, you hear Johnny audibly cackle because he thinks both of these wrestlers suck in a one-on-one.
Yeah, they're both 0-7. Neither of them has any reason to be confident in a one-on-one situation, which leads me to wonder, like, is Serpentine Suprema and Bear Winter just hanging out backstage? They both think they've got a trump card in play. Is this a rare distraction ending for a match in Wednesday Night Triumph?
No, this is just a straight up 1v1 between two tag members that have never had a solo win.
And who is breaking that streak tonight?
Tonight, the streak is breaking in favor of Matt motherfucking Robinson.
There you go. It's a 5-star segment for him. He is already back to being fully happy from a morale perspective. A little bit of a hit for Wolf, but nothing you need to worry about, and a nice 5-star result. This gets both of these feuds going. We're a very nice start for this greatest wrestler feud, and certainly I look forward to seeing how these two tag teams face off. I have to imagine we will see them both in the title match at the pay-per-view.
You'll see them both. You don't count on it. The title match being up and coming here at this next pay-per-view, only because, listen, Jolly Roger are still giving it to Frontline, and until Frontline put that to bed, Wolf Klein and Bear Winter are going to have to wait, unless they want to seize that opportunity with the cash-in. Yeah. We'll have to see.
I was going to say, I feel like they got a piece of paper that will help out in that regard, but we will have to move on to another casket match. Interesting.
That's right. Hueso de Cabra and Regan are standing on the side. Hueso getting Regan prepared, knowing he's got a match, but what they don't know is that Executioner stands out. And as they go to cart off the casket with Wolf Klein in it, Executioner Goro assaults both of the staff members carrying that casket out. He dumps Wolf Klein's body onto the concrete and single-handedly throws the casket back up into the ring. And he looks at Sebastian Chaos and says, "Go put Regan in here."
Well, I mean, look, Sebastian Chaos does bring the chaos. He is on his way to becoming a face of the company. But Regan, we've seen him get that endorsement from Hueso de Cabra. We've seen what he is capable of as a young face who puts in the work week in, week out. I mean, I have to root for Regan Awesome. He is one of the guys I previously had in my first league here. Dare I dream for Regan to get the victory? You cut out there, unfortunately, for me.
Oh, tonight it is, in fact, going to be Regan winning.
Fantastic. It's a 5-star match, a nice half-star boost. Usually I would not be rooting for a 5-star match for you, given the situation, but it's Regan Awesome. I have to root for Regan Awesome. I want him to succeed in all of the things forever and ever. And look, now he's just 24 points away from starting his own face of the company journey, as he deserves. It's a hot match. It's a holy shit moment as Regan Awesome kicks out of Sebastian Chaos's finisher, using his body to get up and ask to be finished off. 30 creativity points, and I have to imagine, Xander, you're feeling pretty good about how this shook out.
Feeling real good, but you know who's not feeling good? Sebastian Chaos. As the staff members recover themselves and jump in the ring, grabbing the casket with Sebastian Chaos, he kicks the casket over and rips Sebastian Chaos's body out and drags his nearly lifeless corpse up the ramp and into the back, not to be seen from again for the rest of the night.
Wow. Yeah, we will have to check in. Hopefully Sebastian Chaos is okay. I'm not sure what I'm more worried about, the damage he took in that match or the damage that Execution Agoro is going to inflict for him losing it. Both seem pretty scary to me. But we move on to what looks like an epic brawl backstage. What are we seeing here?
Listen, you've got Anastasia calling out Hanada Shiroki, saying, as she comes down, her music kicks in, and she's got Asahi standing next to her. And Hanada is a bit taken aback by this. And Anastasia says, get out here. We're doing this. We're doing this right here, right now. You're an absolute piece of garbage, Hanada. I don't even know why your own faction puts up with you. Conquest or Death has made you an embarrassment. And yet here you are, trying to perform, trying to hold belts, trying to do whatever you can to stave off the truth. And that's knowing that not one, not two, not three women in this promotion from Conquest or Death are better than you, but now myself, a fourth, is also better than you, Hanada. You aren't even a footnote in Glory of Legends. You are the garbage that we walk on when we need to go and normally characteristically very stoic, takes it on the chin. Mm-hmm. She's clearly enraged by this. This time it was too far. The idea that she's being slandered by, again, what even Anastasia acknowledges, the fourth best woman in Conquest or Death, but now saying that puts Hanada, that puts Haika below, right? Barely in the upper half for women in this promotion, especially after the promo that went from Maricela. It's too much. And they go into the ring and they start brawling.
Wow. I mean, obviously Anastasia picking this fight, getting under Hanada's skin. It is a 5-star segment. It is a hot segment for these two, which is a great way to start a feud. Already at 109, thanks to the result of that one, which, to be fair, it's building off of a previous feud between Anastasia and Hanada, so it's not like they're starting from scratch, but certainly the fans are clearly all in already, and I would not be surprised if, when these two actually wrestle, this feud goes hot sooner rather than later.
Yes, sir.
But we move on for now. Oh, look, it's another casket match. Black Bull with Execution Agoro versus Izaki Cordova alongside Hueso de Capra. And this can't possibly be the same casket, can it, Xander?
As the staff are making their way up the ramp during the brawl with Anastasia and Hanada, they round the corner and Executioner Goro clotheslines them and says, will you stop dragging the fucking casket away from where I expect it to fucking be? And at this point, one staff member is knocked completely away from the casket, and Executioner Goro, one last time, drags the casket to the center of the ring and throws it out. Ozaki and Hueso standing by the side of the ring, knowing they've got a match tonight, but Ozaki did not know that this was a casket match, and he did not know that he was up against the one, the only, Black Bull. And Black Bull charges down to the ring and grunts audibly. And Executioner raises his hand and says, Ozaki, tonight you die.
I mean, bold words from Black Bull. I mean, this is exactly the fighter that Executioner Goro has molded him into. We have seen how much his win-loss record has improved since taking on a new manager. But this is Izaki Cordova, former champion of the cruiserweight belt, I believe, in this company. The next Liger, a 4-4 face who I think well deserving of the title of face of the company. We'll get there very shortly. Does Black Bull have what it takes, or is the Executioner about to be furious that a second Burn It All Down member is going into the casket?
Well, Chase, this can go either way. Both of these wrestlers need this win pretty desperately. And for that reason, I know what I have in my notes. But if you would kindly hit that simulate button for me.
We're hitting the funny button. And it leads to a 4.5-star victory for Ozaki Cordova. That does match what we had in the notes, so clearly it was meant to be. And it is a solid match between these two. A hot match. They're just already so over, you can't even tell. But a great match between two wrestlers, both well on their way to becoming faces of the company. And look, you can say, oh man, only 4.5 stars. Like, that's a bad thing. But right now, that's going to be dropped with your 4 stars. So I can't imagine you care very much.
Listen, the only thing that we care about is what Executioner Goro is going to do to the members of Burn It All Down tonight. I need them healthy for the next set of weeklies and the pay-per-view, and I am genuinely concerned right now that Executioner Goro is going to be putting people in body bags. It is a legit concern. That guy is a genuine murderer.
Yeah, I get the same energy from him as you play a high school sport and your team heavily underperforms. Not just you lose, but you lose because people aren't trying as hard as they should, aren't giving it their all. And the coach says, okay, the game's over. Now you're running laps for the next several hours. Like, this is that energy to me. I feel like Executioner Goro is going to make them run laps, but those laps may involve weaponry being chucked against them. So
yeah, well, I was going to say, instead of laps, it's just violence. It's just objective violence done to them. But yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, he is the executioner for a reason, but we do move forward.
He's a big fan of execution.
It does seem that way. Not that Black Bull could execute tonight, but what are you going to do? Well, I know what we're going to do. We're going to move on to the Women's Lightweight Championship. Hanada Shiroki is the champion. Anastasia talked a lot of trash, and she did get a win recently. But it is Hanada who holds the belt, and it looks like the casket's staying out here once again.
That's right. Executioner Goro did what he did. He ripped Black Bull out of the casket and dragged him up the ramp. But this time, it's not Executioner Goro throwing the casket back in. It's Anastasia, the one who drags it out. Asahi sees her doing this, and she was really hoping for a clean match between these two. But now that she sees the ferocity with which Anastasia has baited Hanada, Asahi's going to go stand next to Hanada here and say, Hanada, I know that I came out with Anastasia. I know that it got under your skin, but you need to be the stoic wrestler you are right now. You need to retain this belt. You need to make the women look good tonight. And I know that Anastasia is here. I know she's performing. I know she's terrifying right now, but I've got your back. And you know what? Put her in the casket, but don't bury her, okay? Just do it to embarrass her and make it so that everyone understands what you stand for tonight. And Hanada, you see her kind of calm down a little bit. You see her refocus, after that brawl that honestly Anastasia got the better of her in. And now you see more what folks are used to, that stoic, very serious Hanada Shiroki. And Anastasia still looks livid that she's even in the ring with Hanada right now, and she wants to rip that belt right off of her.
This is when I really wish you'd gone with True Loyalties rather than Greatest Wrestler, because I love this Asahi King flipping back and forth, and I do feel like that's part of what the dynamic that you've built here. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but you're not taking the belt off of Hanada at a weekly, are you?
No, I'm not. Not tonight. It's going to be Hanada getting the win.
And it is a 4.5-star victory. A nice boost to the feud. Does not look like the feud has gone hot yet, though it was another hot match. So nice to see on that front. The Women's Lightweight Championship just 15 experience away from going gold. That could just be one killer pay-per-view match. So we could see another belt going gold for Glory of Legends in the very near future. But for now, we move on to the main event tonight. It is a triple threat casket match between the men's cruiserweight champion Vince Rivera, Yuji Onishi, who got praised earlier tonight, and Gaijo Jade. How did we get here, Xander?
Listen, Vince has had some feuds running, okay? Vince is looking to put everyone down because the truth is, for him right now, the biggest threats to his standing, the biggest threats to this belt are members of Burn It All Down. And given what everyone has seen, Vince wants to remind them that while stuff he has done with members of Burn It Down, with Sebastian Chaos coming close up behind him in that last match, Vince is saying, I am the one that you one standing in your way, and I am far and above a greater talent than any of you are prepared for. At least Sebastian is a member of Burn It All Down. That is the only reason he can come close. You, Gaijo Jade, a member of For the People, and you, Yuji Onishi, who the fuck is Yuge? You don't deserve to be in this ring with me tonight. And after I put both of you in this casket, folding like fucking origami, you'll know your fucking place.
I do like your "what the fuck is a Juge" moment that we just got here. I mean, look, if this was a purely narrative moment, I feel like after the endorsement Yuji got, he would need to step up in a big way. A 2-9 guy getting the endorsement from Hueso de Cabra feels like it might cheapen that a little bit, even if the score does not reflect such a thing. But again, I don't think you're taking the belt off of Vince at a weekly. Is that a fair statement?
Correct. And also, don't forget, Yuji's praise came from him being a great foot soldier. And he does come out, he does put in his time, he does his due diligence. But Vince is just better. And Gaijo, looking, it's looking rough out here for Gaijo. It's looking really rough.
Yeah. I mean, look, we all appreciate the Japanese cyborg, but at 2-14, it feels like he's leaning more on a new year, new me mentality when we get to reset the leaderboards for season 2. But it's a 4.5-star match. I think a lot to like here in terms of getting Vince another win under his belt, another defense under this men's cruiserweight champion reign he's been building. And I do like what you're doing with Yuji. We will see. 4.75. It does feel like those last few matches turned the corner, unfortunately. How are you feeling seeing that final score come through?
I mean, it's fine. I'm 0.25 behind. It's not a big deal.
That's fair. We do have another weekly left, and hopefully, I guess for your sake, Eduardo doesn't have the greatest weekly of all time. Once again, we will have.
I've got stuff in store for the next weekly. Don't worry. I wasn't necessarily gonna run it, but now that I see how close I am, y'all got something to worry about. All right. Don't worry. Don't you stress about me.
Interesting. I feel like I heard something very similar last week, but maybe I'm just misremembering. Anyway,
you're misremembering, and that's okay. It's okay to be wrong.
Oh my goodness. Well, I for one am very excited because we're ending the show tonight with magically enhanced wrestling. I did have the highest hype last week as we all tied at the same 4.75 star score. And I'll be honest, I'm feeling pretty good about what's been built here. I have a few different.
You shouldn't. That's okay.
Well, I didn't interrupt you is all I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
During the lead in, but
I'm not sorry, but yeah, go ahead.
I've got some faction feuds I'm very excited to build up here. I've got a new wrestler who's just joined the company, making his debut that I'm very excited to introduce. We got a couple independence-focused moments and a new tag team that may be coming our way. So let's jump on in. And we look here at a Smack Talk segment with Fishbone and El Rey Loco. And El Rey Loco is the one who first comes out to the ring, and he talks about how Fishbone is naive. The rise of Arsenico that we have seen in this company mirrors the rise of Prince Pretty Pink in the Western Watch. And with talents like Fuerza de Dragon and Eli Chaos getting some momentum in recent weeks, this could snowball into a lost faction if Fishbone doesn't stop playing nice and start acting like a true leader to maintain his power. And Fishbone comes out and just says, look, El Rey Loco, you are the unstable lunatic for a reason. I don't really need advice from you, right? Not everyone is out to get you. Not everyone is blinded by their own need for revenge. I'm proud of everyone in Eastern Elite who did so well in the Arcane Artificer tournament, and we are much more of a family than the Western Watch ever were. So don't worry about me. But, we don't have to fight, like you've picked this battle with the Eastern Elite on this idea that we're going to provide shelter, I guess, to these people from the Western Watch, which you haven't defeated. But we can get along as long as you agree to let the Western Watch live on regardless of what happens at this next pay-per-view. Because disbanding the Western Watch, as you have proclaimed you are going to do, would be losing an important buffer to the rising power of the Hellfire Club and the brutality of the Southern Sentries, not to mention what Independence would be able to do with that power vacuum. And El Rey Loco just looks at him and just kind of shakes his head, and he's like, I was once just as naive as you, but my eyes were opened when I was injured. I had to sit in a hospital bed and watch everything I built get taken away from me when I used to think just like you did. So you better hope that you never falter, because when you do, and you will, it's going to be too late. And it's a 4.5-star segment. Not quite the score I was looking for, but hey, gets this individual feud between these two faction leaders going, so I suppose I'll take it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, cool smack talk segment, and you didn't score too high.
Well, we've still got plenty of show left to go.
I'm not getting too excited yet, and it's very cool. All right, that your smack talk is almost over. Good job on that.
Yes, I am feeling pretty good about my smack talk segments overall, though this score does ensure I will not be able to get it gold before the end of season 1, unless I do it at a pay-per-view, which I don't think I'm gonna do. But we move on to a debut package. For one Kennedy West, Fab Cooper. No, why did you check your PayPal?
Fab, check PayPal.
No, don't check your PayPal.
Fab, check PayPal.
Nothing good happens when you check your PayPal. Well,
Fab, check PayPal.
I mean, look, it's a 4-star segment, so let's just focus on the content here, right? Kennedy West is one of the best indie competitors in the world. So it is no surprise when he found his way to magically enhanced wrestling, the best to do it in the world right now. Kennedy says there's no chance that anyone in this company can stand up to him. He's here to follow his own path, to prove he doesn't need anybody else to get far. And I gotta say, it's hard to get a read on his personality. He is neutral aligned right now. So he's got a little bit of cockiness to him, but he's not necessarily being threatening or getting in people's faces either. All he says for now that he promises people are going to see big things from him soon.
Check PayPal.
And those big things start with a match tonight. As you know, we always have a match for new wrestlers where representatives from any faction can come in and try to recruit them into their cause on their first match in the company. But given how many overlapping faction feuds there are right now, there are only very few people who are able to compete for Kennedy West to join their faction. You have, when we've looked at like Arsenico or Techno Boy, we saw 6, even 8 different factions at one point fighting here. But the only two willing to send someone tonight, Shane Mack from the Eastern Elite, who find themselves stretched thin as seen at Hell's Rebuke and could really use some more numbers to bolster up their rankings as they're attacked on multiple sides. And Devin Moxie, a member of Righteous Retribution, who are the smallest remaining faction and could use some more support. And, Kennedy looks at each of these guys and he says, look, I appreciated that one time that you shit-talked Glory of Legends, Shane. And Devin, I appreciate you're trying to forge a new path here with this whole Righteous Retribution thing. But I'm not going to lose tonight. And at the end of the day, this is part of the Total War feud between Righteous Retribution and Eastern Elite that we saw highlighted at the top of the night. The question is, Xander, who do you think is getting the win?
Who do I think is getting the win out of these? I was looking for the right word. Well, it's going to be Devin Moxie because Shane Mack's a random. Kennedy West is aight. Kennedy West is aight, okay, and could definitely use a win here to go over. But I'm still gonna stand behind Mr. Devin Moxie. That's who I'm rooting for.
Look, I appreciate Devin Moxie, and I do want to see Devin Moxie succeed ever since he came back for his injury. But here's the thing. Devin Moxie, Shane Mack have to fight each other for the sake of their faction, and that means Kennedy West gets his opening. He gets the victory tonight. It's a 4 3/4 star segment, and it does get him over with the fans. That means Kennedy West is
Congrats, Mr. Kennedy West.
A main eventer 4-3, first day in the company. I'm glad to see it. He does now have This Is Our Home feuds with Shane Mack and Devin Moxie. We will see what that means for him in the long run. But for now, we know it leads to a holy shit moment as Kennedy West hit Devin Moxie with a hard headbutt that almost knocked them both out, which was another 2 overness for Kennedy here. So well done to him. He shows up strong in his first match. It's important in my mind for new wrestlers to prove that they are a threat and can stand with some of the established folks. So we'll see how far Kennedy can go with that. But we move on to a champion coronation. Not the maximum score that I thought that segment would have. Got it. Well, Monty Hendrix won the Arcane Artificer tournament, as you know, which was a huge success for independents. It was a tournament in which they were forced to fight fair thanks to Fishbone's interference. And Arsenico claims that this is once again proof that the divine presence that watches over us all favors those who are chosen for greatness. And you can see, in addition to the belt, Monty has that staff that he was handed by Arsenico at the end of the last pay-per-view, Hell's Rebuke. And as it glows, Monty tells the crowd that he is going to use his divine providence as one chosen by God to achieve great things for the future of this promotion. So it's a 4 1/4 star segment, but it gives my boy Monty Hendrix something to do as he recovers from his 100% fatigue after that tournament.
Fair.
What do you think about how this has gone?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, Monty's tired, man, and I'm glad that he still comes coronation, gets to look like a good dude. I'm a big Monty Hendrix fan, so good for him, dude.
Well, then you're going to appreciate this next segment because Arsenico's going to pull a Columbo with just one more thing to celebrate Monty Hendrix's success. And you see a full-on orchestra comes out of the stands. You see Johnny Scott break out into a full Latin hymn as incense floods the arena. There's this live performance that everyone takes in. You see Arsenico kind of do the thing where he's pretending to be a conductor, even though anyone who knows how to conduct knows that none of what he's doing would make sense given the time of the music. And he says, Johnny Scott, from this point forward, will watch over you as well. and join you in the arena whenever you wrestle. You have earned this, Monty. And I hope you hold on to this honor with pride. And this puts Monty on an elevated position compared to the rest of independents. You know, only Arsenico has a manager, I think, in this whole company. I think he's the only one. And he has saved this privilege to himself until tonight. And clearly the fans are in on it. They love the live performance that I organized. But you know who's not a huge fan, Xander? Ryu
Who's
Otake.
That? Oh.
Ryu Otake, who just won the Flame Warlock Championship and cannot help but note that he did not get a coronation celebration. He did not get an orchestra, and he certainly did not get a new lackey or manager or whatever you want to call Johnny Scott at this point. He got nothing. He got a pat on the back and a good job, while Monty continues to get all of the love. And I don't think Ryu looks pleased about that, but he will have to live with it for now. And hey, it's nice to be able to do a reveal manager segment and be able to justify it within the lore of my company. So what do you think with the second half of this independent segment we've got going on here?
Love it. I love that the orchestra came out to kick it off. That's my favorite part.
Yeah. I mean, I just, as someone who spent too much time in Catholic school growing up, I figure, how can I work that in and work through some trauma during this match enhanced wrestling promotion we got going on? It's worked out very well for Monty Hendricks, though we will see what Independence has in mind moving forward. But we move on now to a very interesting match. This is Derek Nash versus Briar Allison. You know, we just talked about the Flame Warlock Championship. Derek Nash just dropped it at Hell's Rebuke to Ryu Otake, but he did not call for this match. This was Briar Allison coming down to the ring and saying that the Hellfire Club needs to be stopped. This started as just the Sky Sentinels going after Skull Tabaka and Tijuana King, because typically these have been gendered feuds within this company. But at the same time, the Hellfire Club have been launching more attacks backstage and causing more chaos within the MEW that just cannot be ignored. And Briar, you know, she's frustrated, right? She had her attempt to take on Tilly Cooper cashed in on the weekly before Hell's Rebuke and lost her opportunity to take on the Frost Witch title. And so she believes a win against a top-tier talent like Derek Nash would go a long way for her personal reputation and the standing of the Sky Sentinels in this feud in general. And, you know, Derek Nash, the Extreme King, finds it deeply amusing that Briar would come out here. And he goes, you know what? Sure, this will be fun. Let's do a street fight match, you and me, Briar. Promise to take it easy on you. And that is where we lead into this match. I mean, obviously they're both 4-4 wrestlers. Briar with only a 3-13 record, but certainly has the skills. Does she have enough?
Give Briar the win, bro. Come on, do the thing. Give her the win.
I mean, of course she's not getting the win. It's Derek Nash. Are you kidding me?
Aw, boo.
I mean, the game booed me too with a 4.25 star match. So clearly that was the wrong call. But look, I will say, Briar does do more than you would expect, despite her record.
Okay.
She actually forces Derek to go all out. There's a moment where you see something click in Derek, and he realizes that if he doesn't go into that next gear and do whatever it takes, he's going to drop a match to Briar fucking Allison. And he does find that gear, and he does get the victory. And as the Extreme King, a street fight match, probably not the place that someone like Briar Allison should be trying to fight him. But you can see Derek does not look nearly as certain in this, in his dominance for this kind of match as he thought he would.
Neither does the crowd.
I mean, it's a hot match between two 4-4 workers. A holy shit moment. Derek Nash getting up from Briar Allison's finisher before asking her to hit another. And it's just like, I mean, look, it happened to you earlier tonight. So
It did.
I can't really complain. It's just that I also low rolled
And I only got
Skulltabaka.
4 flat, so you got an extra quarter, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
I just it's the other low rolls that are making me feel a
Uh,
little like it's a cumulative effect.
you're getting bullied right now, and that's okay. You're getting Joed.
I I'm realizing that I need to start rooting for Eduardo because at least if he beats you and he gets the full point for the weeklies, then all I need to do is win the pay-per-view and you and I are tied and Walter becomes champion, which at least makes no one happy and is thus the best play I've got. Man, we we do have to move on as my hyena of a cast partner.
I love it. I love it so much.
What a game. What a game we've all played in this crazy competition we call the Rough Drafts Competes series. We do
I'm
have
all
to
right.
move on. And I think
I'm
you're
all
going to
right.
like
Ooh.
this one because you
Okay.
saw
Okay.
Skull Tabaka came in to help Tijuana King last week when she was attacked by Malachite Bronson, right? The Malachite,
Uh-huh.
just snapping at some very basic trash talk that Tijuana King
Mhm.
was throwing out there, mostly directed at Cyan Orion. And the two, as Skull Tabaka came in, the two look very close, and they've decided. Tijuana has missed having a tag partner, right?
Mhm.
She misses the time of Rude Awakening, and if she had a partner, perhaps a much better partner than Alana Elise ever was, think about what that partner and I could accomplish, Skull. We both did well at the Arcane Artificer tournament, so I think it's safe to say this could be legit. And Skull's like, look, I see what you're doing. I see this bait you are trying to reel out here. But fuck it, it sounds fun. Let's take it to light and shadow. Let's prove that the Scourge were wrong to let us go and not pick us to be the tag team to dominate this women's division. And as a result, the Throne of Bones has been forged tonight. It is only 4.25 star. Again, I really thought that and Champion Coronation had a higher upside than they did. I hope
Nope.
this is at least proof that I do not min max as much as my reputation would imply.
Mhm.
I'm going for the narrative. I feel like this
Yeah,
all
yeah. You don't
makes
listen. You
sense.
don't get slandered for min maxing. That's me. Okay. Everyone's allowed to slander me for min maxing, and they can do it while I take my win all the way to the bank.
I don't know that nobody has slandered me for min maxing, but the moral, I mean, tonight I wish I had. Tonight I would feel a lot better about some of the life choices I find myself in at this moment in time. We're just gonna have to
the
keep on
the
going and see
the
what the damage is.
the real lesson is that you made a mistake in the draft, and it's really you're penalized for it. Get good, skill issue, and moving on. Listen, I love the new association. Let's see what else you got in store.
I do have a couple more fun things in store. This is a tag elimination match between a Better Tomorrow and No Bullshit. And look, they both
Okay.
lost the first match of their feud to Hylian Cross as the Southern Sentries took advantage of Independence's internal divide. But No Bullshit have been very firm on this. They believe they should be Independence's only tag team. That was what Arsenico promised when they joined. That was the deal that they made. But A Better Tomorrow with Techno Boy and Vinny Stacks refuses to back down. They believe independents deserve a better class of tag team for this division than guys like Vance Porter and Hideo Dotto, who, even if you can get over the raw aggression and just kind of, asshole behavior that they put out, is also just 4-14 in the history of this company. So the question is, does No Bullshit, with the at least greater experience that they have and maybe a couple wins that they've gotten recently, take care of business against a Better Tomorrow? Or do we see a Better Tomorrow secure their first win in the tag division?
Oh man, this is tough because I can absolutely see a Better Tomorrow winning, but I I really still like No Bullshit to win this, so I'm gonna stand behind No Bullshit, getting the dub, moving to 5-14. A better tomorrow. Go back to the drawing board, coming up with a win later on.
Well, it's funny that you say drawing board here, because No Bullshit do originally look like they have the raw aggression that is necessary here. They take an early lead, but as the match goes on, it looks like Techno Boy and Vinny were more prepared, almost as if they knew what was coming. And that gives them a
Interesting.
victory and a 5.5-star match. There we fucking go. I needed that. Let's see. No holy shit moment or anything here. Just a nice score. And No Bullshit can stay mad. That's kind of that's what they are in character, so it feels fair.
Lol.
Vinny Stacks, by the way, being the last one up, which is very interesting. A real step up
Very,
for him.
very interesting indeed.
Yeah. And No Bullshit, they, kind of limp backstage and, tell Arsenico to deal with this. And he says, earn it. Just kind of shakes his head at their failures. So,
For sure.
Look like they're going to get help anytime soon. But speaking of a lack of help, Cyan Orion is coming down to the ring and is coming to address some of her recent rash choices. She's like, look, I admit my ego got the better of me these last couple of weeks. I never questioned for a second that I could beat Mr. Straight. I never questioned for a second that I would be able to excel in the Arcane Artificer tournament. And I never thought that I would lose to Emu Amiko last week. And because I didn't think that through, and I didn't prepare for the consequences if I was wrong, I let myself down. And worse than that, I let my faction down, and I left my tag team partner down. And Malachite Bronson, you deserve better. I'm sorry. Come out here, let's just talk, okay? And Malachite comes to the ring as Cyan promises this will never happen again. And she goes to offer Malachite a hug. And Malachite says, you're right, and beats Cyan Orion senseless. This is just absolutely beats the crap out of her and promises to make Cyan hurt just as much as Cyan has made her hurt. Well, that's going to start a Who's the Best feud that I think you saw coming last week, but I'm very much excited to see come to fruition.
Sure, listen, good for Malachite.
What, you were into this last week. You're out already?
No, sorry, I technical difficulties.
Okay. Well, I am sorry to hear that. I'm going to turn my stream off and on again, see if that helps you. But we are on our last match of the night, so I'm going to move on from this new Who's the Best feud.
Let's get it.
And get into our final match. It is Alpha Jackson versus Lucas Meltzer. And these two have been feuding since January as seconds in command of their respective factions. And as a feud between the Southern Sentries and Western Watch once again flared up like it did back at Mana Unleashed in March, these two are always destined to come to blows again, right? Alpha and Lucas are both 1-1 in head-to-head fights, with Alpha Jackson getting 2 additional wins in multi-man matches, including a 7-way submission match at Saving Throw. As the peak of masculinity, a man who believes he should be the leader of the Southern Sentries, the true leader that faction needs to achieve greatness, he cannot lose here. If he's going to be that guy, he needs to beat someone like Lucas Meltzer. But Lucas Meltzer, the pressure's on him as well, right? as a core member of the Western Watch with Righteous Retribution on their heels and very much coming to disband and take down everything they've worked for, the last thing that he can afford to do is give the Southern Sentries an opening. He needs to give them an edge before this inevitable two-front war against Righteous Retribution starts again. So that's the question, Xander. Does Lucas Meltzer, 0 to hero, have what it takes to take Alpha Jackson down a peg? Or does Alpha prove that he is the peak of masculinity once again?
Man, it's probably Alpha Jackson, and I do like Alpha Jackson, but you're going to do my boy Lucas like this again? Really?
Yeah, I don't know why you're surprised by that at all. Yeah, of course I'm doing Lucas like that. Look, he's still getting popularity. It is good.
Yeah.
But
Whenever copium you want him to huff, I'm not huffing it, okay?
It's a 5-star match, which I desperately needed if I was going to have any chance to at least keep up with you. It is a hot match. It is a holy shit moment as Alpha Jackson suplexes Lucas Meltzer from the apron through a table outside. 30 creativity points and a nice bit.
Let's see if you keep pace.
Yeah, look, all I'm saying
it's going to be close.
If the Western Watch aren't here next month, Lucas Meltzer's going to have some very interesting choices to make, is all I'm saying.
Fair.
4.75. Yep. You and I are going to remain tied
neck and
here,
neck,
which means Eduardo's 5-star card does indeed give him an edge, as well he deserves. It was an incredible performance from him tonight. He is going to gain the most fans of anybody, as well he should. You gain fans, I lose fans, which is unfortunate. I really thought this couple Total War segments would do well for me, but I definitely had some stuff that whiffed, so what are you going to do? A very nice performance from Eduardo, and we have just one weekly between now and the pay-per-view to get everything aligned, make sure all of our storylines are in place, our scores are as sharp as they can be, and we are ready to wrap up Season 1 with a bang at this Gold pay-per-view. Do you have any final thoughts here before we get into our pluggables,
Xander? Final thoughts are, good job, Eduardo. I'm sad that you still got 4.75 stars. Wish Alpha Jackson hadn't done such a good job. Narrative champion continuing to exist. So congrats to him for that, minus his last match. And Glory of Legends will continue to endure this path to victory.
Well, we will certainly see if Glory of Legends can keep that up. It does appear that the Slander competitor did not hinder you in the slightest. But if people want to talk to you about any of what happened tonight or just Glory of Legends in general, where can the nice people at home find you?
Yeah, listen, if they want to talk to me about Glory... No, I'm just kidding. If you want to talk to me, please.
For that joke. I just want you to know I'm very sorry.
Yeah, I was saying you take a plane to Walter's house, and if you, I'll drop the address off if anyone wants to tell me how great Glory of Legends is. You can bring signs, air horns, whatever you want, as late as in the evening as you want. But beyond that, please find me on all socials at Tentacle Coach. I'll be, doing the League of Legends thing, coaching some big teams. And no team is bigger, of course, than the one I coach, the one I direct, and that is Brooklyn College Esports at CUNYBC Esports. Go give Brooklyn College some love and let them know that you like gaming.
Absolutely. Definitely give Brooklyn College some love. You can find me at Chase Wassenaar on Twitter and Blue Sky. Prefer Blue Sky, but hey, whatever works best for you. Just love hearing from the folks at home what you're liking, what you would like to see for Season 2, perhaps, as we get ready to kind of reset after this Gold pay-per-view. Of course, check out the Rough Drafts podcast. We just released yesterday an episode of Steam Cleaners. So if you want to watch Walter talk about PGA Tour 21 or me talk about Astria Six-Sided Oracles, definitely go give that episode a shot wherever you can find your podcast, or just follow the podcast at Rough Drafts Pod on Twitter, at Rough Drafts Podcast on B-Sky. But we will be back for our last weekly and maybe a tournament. I'm not entirely sure what Eduardo has planned for the Greatest Championship, but stay tuned to this channel to make sure that you find out. And until next time, goodbye, Internet.